For nearly 3 centuries, since the start of the 15th century, Portugal, Spain, and Great Britain was on a race to explore, conquer, and colonize the world. It was Queen Elizabeth I that chartered companies and supported this endeavor. It was her curiosity for exploration that inevitably catapulted the British Empire towards global dominance at that time. And more than 300 years later, it is not surprising that her namesake, Queen Elizabeth II, would show the same curiosity in the modern world. Not with international conquest, but in support of space exploration. This is Mira. May 8, 2007. Following their state visit in Jamestown, Virginia for its 400th founding anniversary, Her Majesty and His Royal Highness proceeded to NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. It is in this visit that the Queen has showed the world her immense support for space exploration. In mission control, she gave a speech to 3 astronauts on board the International Space Station bidding them with good luck. But Her Majesty's explorer spirit did not start and end there. Her 70-year reign witnessed the start of space exploration from the first man on space until now. Here are the most notable contributions of Her Highness and the United Kingdom to space exploration that we know little about. Since the start of the space race, the Queen has supported nations that will put humanity out there in the void. In this case, Russia. On the 12th of April 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey into outer space when he launched atop the Vostok 3 Ka-3 rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. His historic flight aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft lasted just under 108 minutes, during which time he orbited the Earth once before returning safely back to Earth. The son of a carpenter, Gagarin was born in the village of Klushino near Gajatsk in Russia on the 9th of March 1934. As a young man, he trained as a foundry worker before being selected for the Soviet military space training program in 1960. On the morning of his historic flight, Gagarin was quoted as saying, "The cosmos is one." Following his successful space mission, Gagarin became a goodwill ambassador for the Soviet Union and continued to train as a cosmonaut. He died tragically in 1968 during a training flight on a MiG-15 jet fighter. He was posthumously awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, and his name lives on in the annals of space exploration. In 1961, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh hosted cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin at Buckingham Palace following his return to Earth as the first man in space. It was the morning of April 9, 1965. On board the spacecraft Gemini VII, astronauts Frank Borman and Jim Lovell were making final preparations for what would be one of the most important space flights in history. This was not the first time humans had ventured into space, but it was the first time that a spacecraft would be occupied for more than a day. The goal of the mission was to see if astronauts could survive in space for 2 weeks, the amount of time it would take to travel to and from the Moon. The launch went smoothly, and the spacecraft smoothly made its way into orbit. For the next 14 days, Borman and Lovell would live and work in space, testing the limits of human endurance. On the morning of April 23, 1965, with the mission nearly complete, the 2 astronauts prepared to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. As they began their descent, they were unaware that they were about to make history. The Gemini 7 spacecraft became the first and only manned spacecraft to successfully complete a space rendezvous, as it docks with its sister spacecraft, Gemini 6A. The rendezvous and subsequent docking was a key milestone in the development of the Apollo program, which would achieve the goal of landing humans on the Moon just 4 years later. Borman and Lovell completed their mission successfully, demonstrating that humans could indeed survive and work in space for extended periods of time. The Gemini 7 mission was a critical step in the history of space exploration, and its legacy continues to inspire and motivate astronauts and engineers today. In 1966, the Duke of Edinburgh visited the Houston Manned Space Center, where he was presented with a Union Jack that was taken into space on Gemini 7 in December 1965. On July 16, 1969, the United States of America changed the course of history. On that day, the Apollo 11 spacecraft launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, carrying astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin "Buzz" Aldrin Jr. into space. 8 days later, on July 24, Armstrong became the first human being to walk on the surface of the Moon. The successful mission of Apollo 11 was a major achievement for the United States, and for the human race as a whole. It demonstrated that humanity was capable of reaching for the stars, and that we could explore and even live on other worlds if we set our minds to it. The achievement of Apollo 11 also had a profound impact on the way that people saw themselves and their place in the universe. For the first time, humans had left their home world and walked on another world. It was an incredible accomplishment, and it gave people a new perspective on their place in the cosmos. Over the past 50 years, the mission of Apollo 11 has been cited as one of the most important achievements of humanity. It was a defining moment in our history, and it showed us that we are capable of great things. As we look to the future, the legacy of Apollo 11 will continue to inspire us to reach for the stars. In 1969, the Queen and the royal family welcomed astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins to Buckingham Palace, after the successful Apollo 11 mission to the Moon. Dr. Helen Sharman is a British chemist and astronaut. She was the first person from the United Kingdom to go into space, and she holds the record for being the youngest British astronaut. Dr. Sharman was born on May 30, 1963, in Tottenham, London. When she was just 8 years old, her family moved to Sheffield, Yorkshire. As a child, she was interested in space and astronomy, and she would often go to stargazing events with her father. After finishing high school, she studied chemistry at the University of Sheffield. In 1985, she saw an advertisement in a British newspaper that was looking for astronauts for a mission to the Soviet space station, Mir. She applied and was selected for the mission. Dr. Sharman became the first British astronaut to go into space when she launched on April 3, 1991, on a Soyuz rocket. She spent 8 days on Mir, conducting experiments and conducting a spacewalk. After returning to Earth, she continued to work as a chemist and an astronaut trainer. In 2011, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh gave a reception at Buckingham Palace to recognise exploration and adventure in the UK, where Her Majesty and His Royal Highness met Dr. Helen Sharman, the first British astronaut in space. In 2013, she was inducted into the International Space Hall of Fame. In 2015, Timothy Peake made history as the first British ESA astronaut to be selected for a long-duration space mission. Here, we take a look back at his incredible career. After an eventful childhood that saw him move around the world with his family, Peake went on to study flight training and aerospace engineering. He then joined the British Army, where he served as a helicopter pilot and instructor. In 2006, Peake was selected as one of only 6 candidates to become an ESA astronaut. He underwent 2 years of intensive training in Europe and Russia, before being assigned to his first long-duration space mission, aboard the International Space Station. In December 2015, the Queen sent a good luck message to British astronaut Major Timothy Peake, as he joined the International Space Station. Since returning to Earth in 2016, Peake has continued to inspire others with his passion for space exploration. In 2019, he published his first book, entitled Infinite Frontier: An Astronaut's Journey. As the world's oldest monarch, Queen Elizabeth II has seen a lot of change during her reign. But one thing that has remained constant is her support for space exploration. So it's no surprise that the Queen threw her support behind a new space project called the UK Space Agency. The agency is working on a number of initiatives to promote space exploration in the UK, including a new spaceport in Cornwall. And with the Queen's backing now passed down to King Charles III, it's sure to be a success. Keep wondering.